What going on, family? You done know it is your boy OG Sneakers, and this is something a little new. Like usually this time on a Wednesday, you all already know what time it is. It's talking kicks. But you all also know that we take a break after every season. And when it gets during the holiday season, it gets really, really kind of crazy in terms of, like what's going on, if, just how many weeks we're going to take. So we're still on a break. So just let me dispel this now, because shout out to the homie Don Turner. He hit me up and he was like what's going on? What did I miss? Wednesdays is always talking kicks. Don't get it twisted. We are on a break. And have had this idea kind of cooking. What's good? What's good? I see my sis Jamie White tapped in. She said she would be here, and she showed up and showed out, and I appreciate it. But just prior to the pandemic, and it may have been in the beginning of the pandemic, so like early 2020. I had this idea about a series that I wanted to do that was talking with people in the sneaker community, but not necessarily focusing on what you would expect, which is obviously just sneakers, how they got into them, yada, yada, yada. All of that is very important, but we're not like one-dimensional people. We do a lot of different things. You guys know there are other things, other interests that I have well beyond sneakers, photography, music. And so over this time, I've immersed myself into the community and met, so many dope people all over. It was really, really interesting to me to hear the non-sneaker stories in terms of the other things that these people were interested in that you may or may not ever think or realize. And I just thought it was kind of cool. So I had reached out to a few people. I won't call no names, because hopefully now that they see that it's like really it's actually happening, that they will, still honor their yes, I'll do it, and do it. So fast forward, I, like thousands, millions of people, have anticipated the release of Wakanda Forever. And just today, I was sharing with our guest that I just had like this idea. He would be the perfect person for me to just nerd out. And I really mean nerd out on all the questions and discussions that I want to have about this movie. And he's a sneaker dude. So it's like, it's 2 for 1. And it was like, yo, that's sneaker stories. That's what you wanted to do. So I hit him up, like for real, for real. This is like today. Hit him up. And I was like, you think you might want to do this? And he was like, yeah. And then I was like, tonight? And he was like, sure. So that's what's popping. That's what's happening. And, I had this idea, and I'm not exactly sure how all this is going to come together. So I can't give you the rundown. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to talk a little kicks. Then we're really going to talk about Wakanda Forever. So I'm going to say this again, but like spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, at a certain point, you're going to want to dip out of this for real, because I got to go in. I have to have questions. I have to have these discussions. What's good to the homie Don Turner checking in. I know all of y'all who have notifications for the OG Sneakers page are like, wait a minute, what? The bat signal? I thought, hey, this is not supposed to be going off. I thought Batman was retired. He's back. But anyway, let's get on with the get on, because I've gone a little bit too far. I don't want to go any longer without welcoming our guests for this inaugural edition of Sneaker Stories. Please, everybody all over the building, welcome my friend, my guest. I'm going to call him Lucky Lefty 601.
That's
His
right.
government is Lewis.
Got a rep.
Hey, man.
What's
First
good,
of
man?
all, I'm gonna say this a number of times, but thank you, bro. Like
No problem. Thank you for having me.
for real, for real. Thank you. Like to 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 answer the way that you did, I could only have hoped, that that would be your answer, and to have this, this baby that I've been holding for probably well over 3 years to finally come out and scream and get the slap on the butt feels really, really good. So, welcome to the
Appreciate it.
first installment of Sneaker Stories.
Appreciate it.
So, like I said, this is more about the other stuff, but we got to cover the sneaker stuff because,
Absolutely.
that is the thread that ties this all together. That is literally how we met,
I was
right?
about to say that's literally how we started talking.
Exactly. Shout out to the homie per year creative, dope customizer that tapped into sneaker stories. So normally maybe the host would tell the story, but I'm gonna let you tell the story. You
Bet.
tell the story in your own words. How did this connection happen?
All right, bet. So, um, yeah, I had to, as part of my job, I had to attend a conference, and me being the kind of person that I am, I do not like doing stuff like that. I hate it. But, you know, the number one rule, don't get fired. So I did it,
Absolutely.
and I did it with as much glee as I could pretend to have. So, I'm there, and of course, for conferences, you get suited and booted. So I'm there, and one of the rare times you'll catch me in a suit and some dress shoes and and a tie. And I'm there just kind of chilling. I think the day was pretty much almost over, but
Yeah.
we were just kind of walking around. They had snacks, so grabbed a few cookies and was chilling. And I see this guy who has on the I want to say it was the Qua 54
You got it.
twos.
Twos.
I was
Yep.
like, hold up. First of all, how does man get to wear sneakers to the conference? Like he is dressed like he's straight chilling instead of, you know, dressed like pencil pushers like the rest of us. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go chat with this guy. Cause one, like I said, how did he get to wear this? Two, I have those same exact shoes and I haven't seen anybody else with them. So yeah, I just went over there. I was like, hey man, I got those. He's like, word? And like, you're a sneakerhead? I was like, yeah. And I was like, and of course, we went back and forth about different sneaker stores. But I remember coming home to my wife like, yo, I met this dude at the conference, and he's a bit older than us, but he's a sneakerhead. And I mean, it was cool because they always say that once you reach a certain age, they expect you to, or people in general, appreciate it, Don. They expect you to kind of, no matter how much you love it, they want to frame it or phrase it as like a kid thing or something you do when you're young, when it's like, no, this is something I love, this is something I want to continue doing for as long as I can afford it. And as long as I'm here. So why stop at college or early 20s? This could go on, it should go on forever, because who am I hurting?
Well, for me, you're exactly correct. And like from there, we exchanged information.
Mm.
Kept up with one another over time. Of course, we
Yeah, even
followed
through the
each other
pandemic.
exactly. Linked up in terms of exchange of IG and all of that. And then because we were in the same area, we actually got a chance to link up face to face. And I think that's what gave me the confidence
Mhm.
to be able to reach out to you with a kind of last minute, if you will,
Yeah, no, it's appreciated, man.
request. But man, like I said, really, really appreciate it. But we gonna get to the sneaker stuff. So I hit you with a had you pull a couple pairs and but I gotta ask the requisite question. But I'm gonna ask it in a different way. Now, what you're gonna find for me is like if I do something and you've heard somebody else do it, that means I really, really mess with that particular person. So like I listened to a podcast called Questlove Supreme. If you don't know it, you need to know it.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
gold.
Amir Questlove, the drummer for the Roots, Oscar award winning filmmaker. And like when I walk, that's like one of my go-to podcasts that I listen to, and I just love his vibe. But one of the questions he always asks, I'm gonna ask one of the first questions he always asks, but I'm gonna kind of sneakerize it. So I'm gonna ask you, what was your first sneaker memory?
That's easy. My first sneaker memory was actually the 91 NBA finals. Um, I guess I think that was the year when, well, obviously it was Jordan's first year winning a championship, but I think that was also the same finals where he did the kind of up and under. And so, seeing that, I was just like, wow. And of course, back then the tagline, it's the shoes, it's got to be the shoes. And I remember seeing those infrared Jordan 6s and was like, I have to have them no matter what. And so, begged my dad to cop them for me. And, back then, because my foot was a bit smaller, I think I was about a size 7,
Okay,
they were readily available to go get. So, after, like I said, a little bit of begging, a little bit of chores getting done,
no
he went
doubt.
and copped them for me. And, to this, as you can see, that's something I vividly remember and will never forget.
That's what's up. Shout out to the homie Shoe Freak in the building. Appreciate you for pulling up and checking in. Super dope, super dope. It's interesting for me that and I've shared any number of a few stories, over the time that I've been on YouTube. But for me, being the age that I am, like a lot of people's first sneaker memory involves Mike in some kind of way, Michael
Hmm.
Jordan. But for me, because we're like literally only months apart in age, he's not my sneaker memory
Right.
because he wasn't who he
He wasn't
was.
him yet.
Yeah, he wasn't him exactly. Around the time that I was probably thinking seriously about shoes was probably high schoolish time. Um, he was probably getting not selected for the basketball team and getting mad because he didn't make the squad. But that's a dope memory for sure. And I encourage people to check out your YouTube page. I think, or not your YouTube, your IG page, because one of the things that once I found your page that was really really cool to me, that you're a girl dad.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Three
a girl
times.
dad, so I'm always checking that out. But just the love and how are sharing that with your daughters is really very cool to me. So I
Yeah.
don't know that
Appreciate it, man.
that I shared that, but I really do. I like to see that, and especially uh, in a little way. I tease you about those twin Celtics jerseys, but I secretly am hating because like I wasn't really really on this path when my daughters were that small, to be able to to do that type of thing. Shout out again to the homie Don Turner, who is also in the Girl Dad crew.
All right, Don.
For sure, for sure. But I'm gonna get back to some sneaker questions.
All right.
But I want to tie this together for everybody. So one of the things, as I said, sneaker stories is really about the stories are not really about sneakers. They're about something else. And one thing that I learned about our guest today that I didn't know was that not only is he a lover of film, but he is a certified, bona fide, real life in front of me, first one I ever met or talked to movie reviewer. Like, no, I didn't stutter. Movie reviewer, legit website reviews, and we gonna get into that. But like, I gotta know, like, where, how do we get to this point? What was
All right.
there is a story there. I feel like there's a story there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as a kid, um, my first movie memory was Are you guys still there?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I just giving
So,
you solo dolo, that's all.
all right. No, I don't need all that. So, so my first vivid movie memory comes from when I was a kid. I was actually around the same age as my twins, 4 years old. And back then, Eddie Murphy was everything. Eddie Murphy was a god, right? And so, as part of our family night out with another family at the time that was friends of my parents and everything, we turned the opening night of the first Beverly Hills Cop movie into a into a family outing, which is insane, right? Like, yeah, I mean, I think it shows just how big Eddie Murphy was, that, parents get together. Oh, let's hop in the car, take the kids to see this already movie with guns and boobs and you name it. All the profanity and F bombs you can handle.
Absolutely.
But anyway, we went, and like I said, I could still, if they opened the theater we uh that we saw it in, if they opened that movie theater, I could probably I ain't no probably about it. I could pinpoint the exact theater that we watched that movie in. And I just remember being mesmerized, like, wow, Eddie Murphy is the coolest guy on the planet. This is an amazing feeling sitting here watching this. I want to feel this again. And so every time I went to the movies after that, it's kind of just, chasing that feeling again. And granted, it's led to me, seeing some god awful stuff, but it's led to me seeing some amazing stuff. So, um, as I got older, I just, continued to do that. And, growing up in Jackson, Mississippi, it wasn't a whole lot to do besides, get in trouble, play sports, go to the movies. So I chose going to the movies. And so, I continued that all throughout college. When I moved to Georgia to go to grad school at the University of Georgia, I apologize in advance for Herschel Walker. That's not our fault. but
Apology accepted.
yeah, the whole time I was in graduate school at UGA, I would always go to the movies to have find my peace, have my space. When I moved to Atlanta and started my career at CDC, I did the same thing. Only this time, once I moved to Atlanta, I a friend of mine introduced me to screening movies.
Mm.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. And through that, I was able to see, movies early and movies for free. And so because of that, and people would, of course, bring up movies around me because they know I'm a movie lover. And I'd be like, well, yeah, I already saw it. And they'd be like, well, it doesn't start until next week. It's like, yeah, I already saw it. And of course, they would go to ask me about it. And it got to a point where whenever, a movie was getting ready to be released, maybe a few days before or whatever, I would get messages from all over the place asking me about movies. And so
Mm.
my thing was, instead of just, and of course, like I said, that, screening and stuff, it continued once I moved to the DMV. And so it got to a point where I was like, man, I appreciate people coming to me like that, but it's hard, going to each person, giving my thoughts about, what I saw. Like, I enjoy talking about movies, but I don't want to say the same thing, 20, 30, 40 some odd times.
Okay.
So maybe I should just start writing out reviews, and that way people will know. They don't even have to ask me. They'll know what they want to know, and it'll be right there. And so I would do it on my Facebook page, and use my post to do that. And people will read it and respond. And of course, through that, other folks will be like, man, you should start a blog. You're kind of good at this, you know. And it was like, well, I enjoy doing it, why not? So that's how it started.
Wow.
And yeah, been going I'd say about 3 years strong. Like I still got a long way to go, still got a lot to learn, but yeah, I'm having a great time doing it.
That is so dope. So you already like you getting early access on sneakers and you getting early
Oh no, don't even start on
and
that.
you get early access on the movies like that. There's something that is patently unfair about that. But let me say shout out to my family, Beard Jedi and Cadillac Jackson in the building. The other 2/3 of the Talking Kicks crew. Appreciate y'all for stepping through. And you said something that I want to back the train up on a little bit.
Bet.
So you legit repping Jackson State. It's not just like you're not on the
Oh
on
yeah.
the on Coach Prime train. That's like that's your
No,
hood.
I'm look, I'm swag. I was born and raised in Jackson, didn't leave Jackson until I was 23 years old. Went to school at JSU, graduated with a degree in criminal justice from there. Like if there's an example of what being swag is, I am swag.
So now, how do you feel about what's going on with the football team and like as an alumnus, what was your, you know,
It's I love it. It's an amazing feeling. It still feels unreal because growing up, again, it's Jackson. We don't have any professional sports. So JSU is our team. And so, back then we were, growing up, we were always good. We had guys like of course everybody knows we had Walter Payton. That was a little bit before my time, but we had guys like that. Matter of fact, when I was at JSU, and I believe it was either the 2001 or 2000 NFL draft, we were actually the only school other than University of Miami when they were just basically a mini NFL team. We were the only two schools that had two guys selected in the first round of the draft. So JSU has always been strong football wise, but then I'd say around my senior year, things kind of fell off. And so and it never, I mean, it got better, but it was never quite the same as it was in those, in the 80s and the 90s. And so, when Coach Sanders showed up, and I mean, first of all, we knew it was going to be something special because he's prime, right?
right?
But for him to do what he's doing is, like they say, he's restored the feeling. He done brought it back. So we're excited for everything he's doing football wise, and honestly, for HBCUs in general.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, I don't want to say he's been very generous, but he's kept his word in terms of no, this isn't just about JSU. This is about all HBCUs. So yeah, it's an amazing feeling. We're happy to have him. Obviously at some point somebody's gonna, the Power Fives have already, started sniffing around. And my personal feeling is, if he does, I don't want him to leave. But if he decides to leave, I mean, the man earned the right with everything he's done. But selfishly, I'm hoping he stays and becomes Eddie Robinson 2.0.
That would be so dope. That would
Yeah,
be so dope. And I agree with you. I think, it's like um it's a gift and a curse, and you at a certain point, I think just have to focus on enjoying what's in front of you and, let the future be what it's going to be, and take care of itself. But as a HBCU grad and another one in the house and hopefully a third one coming, so we'll have a nice little Morehouse Hampton Tuskegee trifecta in the building.
all right.
Not leaving the Queen out. University of Maryland is always going to hold it down, but it is absolutely something very, very dope to see. So the website and the name of the blog is the Real REEL Spill.
Correct.
Where does that name come from? I get it, but like let us know what's good.
Well, it's a play on words, when people talk, they say stuff like, real spill. So real spill means I'm going to give you, the real, so to speak. Uncut, uncensored, straight, shoot straight. And that's basically what I do in my reviews. You know, I I'm unbiased, even if something's great, I don't have a problem saying it. But if something's trash, I don't have a problem saying that either, even if it's from one of my, one of my personal favorites. Again, Eddie Murphy. If he puts out a clunker, I'm gonna say it's a clunker. I'm gonna say it's garbage. And
Got
so that's basically where it came from. Yeah, just letting you know that when you come to my page, you read my reviews, you're getting unbiased, unfiltered film analysis.
And it is realspill.com, correct?
Correct.
All right. So I encourage everybody to check that out. The
Real
most
as a
recent
movie reel. REEL.
EEL, yes, not again. Remember, he said play on words. So he's not gonna give you the real word. It's the play on the words. Um, the most recent review is also why we're here today, and that is the much anticipated uh, follow up to the original Black Panther, which was Wakanda Forever. So I'm not gonna ask you to like replay. I'm gonna ask you, give me the Cliff Notes version
All
of,
right.
and let me pause right here and say, because I said I was gonna say, spoiler alert. If you have not seen the movie and you don't want to get your feelings hurt because we talking about stuff that you don't want to hear, I'm telling you, we get into that part of the conversation, and I get it. Some people are going to have to bail out, and I understand that. But like, I need to talk about it now because I'm planning my second time to go see it. So I've already seen it and formed my opinions about it. So just again, spoiler alert. You haven't quite gotten there because his review was not a spoiler alert. So you can read the review and still go and enjoy the movie. But give us the
Everything's 1,000% spoiler free on,
yes.
on the real spill. I promise you that.
So give us the Cliff Notes version of just your kind of your mini review, what you thought of the movie and what people should expect.
Okay. I would say overall, it's an amazing film, and I agree, Chill Town. But I'll get to that in a second. But I think overall, it's not the first movie. It is an entirely different movie, and that's because Wakanda's in a different space now. They the first film, it was showing us pride and how beautiful Wakanda was and everything that it had, and all the unity. Basically just it was exactly what we as Black people needed to see with ourselves on film. And that's not to say that this movie doesn't have it, but it's in a different place because just like in real life, how we lost Chadwick Boseman in the movie, Wakanda has lost its protector. They lost T'Challa, their ruler, as well as their protector. So their Wakanda is basically in the same space we were in when we lost Chadwick. And so completely agree, Don, but I'll get to that in a second too. So basically, yeah, it's I don't want to say it's a sad movie, but it's not the high energy um fun action flick that the first one was. This one is more story based, story and character driven. So there's a lot um there's a lot done in terms of developing the villain Namor, who we'll get to in a second, who we'll get to later, I'm sure. And
Absolutely.
there's a lot done towards really showing a grieving, a grieving nation, as well as a grieving mother in Angela Bassett's character and a grieving sister in terms of Shuri.
Yeah.
Shuri.
So
So
one of the questions that I took my the fact that I had the number to the Bat Cave and, and sent Lou a text, and I was like, do I need to take a whole bunch of tissue with me? Because I just
yeah,
got a feeling that it's gonna make me feel some kind of way. And
yeah.
I remember distinctly, and I think this was somewhere similar language in the reviews, like pack your patience and
Because it's long.
pack your tissue.
Yeah.
That
And
was his advice.
yeah, and I mean it's beautiful. The way it's done is beautiful. Don't get it twisted. The same lady that did the cinematography for the Loki series on Disney Plus
Okay.
did the cinematography for Wakanda Forever, and so it is beautifully shot and it's beautifully done. But it it, it's an emotional ride. Again, it has its moments where it's fun and it gets exciting, but for the most part, you know, it's like the characters are grieving along, like you're grieving along with the characters and you're trying to find your way along with them. So, and I guess I'd say in summary, if you're a person who really appreciates, those deep dive into knowing, really knowing the characters, knowing how they're feeling, knowing their motives and things like that, you'll enjoy it. It'll still be super long, but you'll enjoy it immensely. Um, if you're a person that, you're just there to see special effects, action, you're not left. They definitely give you that, but it takes a while to get to all of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say for me, the first 24 hours after the movie, I had a bunch of conversations with myself.
Hmm.
Like when it was done, I was like, there was part of me, and I'm just going to be wholly transparent. Some people may not appreciate what I'm getting ready to say and feel like it's blasphemy. But my immediate reaction after all the credits are done and I'm going out of the theater as we're walking back to the car, I was a little let down.
Hmm.
And I didn't understand why. And I really kind of tried not to pay attention to it because I didn't want to feel that way.
Hmm.
But a couple days later, it came to me that I the first movie was highly anticipated.
Hmm.
But I believe, I'm going to say for me, I don't know other people, this movie was even more highly anticipated
Hmm.
because I think people wanted to know what was going to happen. What was it going to be? How are they going to resolve this? You have all the little fake stuff about there. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. Some of it, you know, was, turned out to be, not true. Uh, so a lot of things going on. But what I have settled into now is that there was no way this movie could have been a 1,000 out of 10, and it still would not have met the
Right.
unmeetable expectations that I had for it.
Right.
Because really, what I wanted was Chadwick.
Right.
I wanted that not to happen. I wanted that to be a blip, a real blip.
Hmm.
That was going to change, and I was going to. And so once I realized that I was asking for something that was never going to happen. I was expecting, like, my bar was nobody's getting over that bar.
Right.
I I was able to be settled, but I'm gonna say in the beginning I was kind of nervous because I was like, well, why do I feel this way? Like this movie was amazing, and even though it was long, it was not like, oh my god, I gotta just hurry up and be over.
Yeah,
For
it didn't
me,
drag at all.
it was not that. All right. So now this is where we get into the stuff that if you don't see the movie, you go. I can't say put me on mute. I'm gonna say just drop off now,
Yeah,
and then
or go
after
read
you
the
go,
review.
then after you go see the movie, come back and watch the rest of the show and the rest of our discussion. Man, there are so many questions. I've been through at least 2 or 3 rabbit holes, but I'm gonna ask you for you
Okay.
if there were any surprises or things that you didn't expect, what were they? Or what was it if you
Yeah, I got a couple,
okay.
but again, last warning: if you have not seen the movie, now's
Speak
a good
out now.
time to drop off. Um, again, if you now's a good time to go read the review on therealspiel.com.
There you go.
um so yeah, so spoiler alert. Um the two biggest surprises for me, and there might be a minor third one, but one was the Killmonger cameo. I did
Okay.
not expect that, but it made all the sense in the world. Again, once after seeing everything that was going on and everything that Shuri was going through, especially, I'd say, especially considering, we've never seen that side of her in the first movie. She was the comic relief. She was the scene still. In this movie, she's a completely different person. I mean, she has her jokes here and there, but her vibe is completely different. So, the Killmonger cameo was one, and I would say the second thing, which was an amazing surprise. I'm so glad that they did it. Granted, I was not one of those that was like, no, Chadwick Boseman, you gotta shut this down, or you gotta find somebody to replace him. Hurry up and do it. But the second surprise was that mid credit scene where it was revealed that he and Nakia had a son, and I thought that was a nice way to not only wrap things up, but because we had been on such an emotional journey, and we had, this reminder that, look, Chadwick slash T'Challa is gone. So for them to reveal that he had a son and that his legacy would continue, like that, I don't know about you, but lifted that did a heck of a job lifting my spirits as I was getting ready to walk out of the movie.
So for me, and it's interesting that you mentioned those two, and neither of those is what was the shock for me. Okay, we're already past the spoiler part, so right now you're just getting it right in your face.
Yeah.
The thing that almost knocked me out of my seat was the death of his
Oh,
mother.
yes.
I
Yes.
did not see that coming at
Yeah.
all. I,
It
I,
felt kind of Game of Thronesy.
I, I, I and I'm still, I need me some Angela Bassett in a couple more movies. I can't, I can't. It's what's done is done, and I
Yeah.
get it from a maybe artistic point of view that, and this is going to be a very non-polite way of saying it, but this is just my just blurted out thought process. Okay, we have some dead weight that we have to cut off. If we're going to move this in a future direction, whatever that direction it is,
Right.
there's some things we have to make room for other things within this universe.
Yeah. It-
And what parents wants to live after losing their child?
right.
So, okay, um, I was okay, but I'm not gonna lie. That
Well,
I was like, wait, what? Oh
well,
no, no, no. We're gonna get the last minute coffin, and
that's what I thought was going to happen as well. And I mean, and honestly, to me, that emotional gut punch, that's a testament to, good point, Chill Time. Good point. But that's a testament to Ryan Coogler's writing and the way he tells his stories. Remember, this is the same guy who did Fruitvale Station. And if you watch that, first, if like, because I came into it without any knowledge that this movie was about Oscar Grant. I
right,
had no clue. And so when it gets to the scene on the train, again, I'm in my mind, I'm still thinking, oh, he'll be fine, he'll make it. And it was like, oh wait, this is, oh no. So the way he set that up, even the way that she ended up passing away. Because remember, she passed away saving Riri.
Yes.
Like she could have easily, well, sucks for Riri. Let me get out of here and been
Fact.
fine. But the way the fact that he set it up, that he wrote it in a way that she sacrificed herself, like that was the ultimate gut punch.
Yeah. So Don Turner says, respectfully, I don't think of the AB death like that. I feel like she sacrificed herself to save the future.
Yeah, that's a
V-
good
Uh,
point.
valid point. I can't knock that at all. DT. I just bring it up because for me, like of all of the things that I was could have conjured up in my mind that were going to occur, it I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming.
And then
What
on
I
top of
did
that,
see coming was the um was the reveal that they had a child.
mhm,
I when I can't say that I walked in, I was like, okay, look, it's coming, it's coming. But when I saw it, it wasn't like it wasn't a clutch the pearls moment for me. I was
right,
like, yeah, okay, I see what you're doing, and I, I see the options and opportunity that because one thing that we had not had an opportunity to see in the first movie that I think probably was going to be part or could have been part of the
mhm,
second movie was more kind of development in that relationship
right,
between Nakia and T'Challa,
right.
and all of those things. So now you're only left to, obviously, we know how it went down because it wasn't really clear. It was like, yeah, they're flirtation. Yeah, she loves him. No,
Right.
she doesn't.
You
They have
just thought it
feelings
was,
for each other.
homegirl and homeboy catching up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think for me that was not a surprise. Um, I don't know if this is the best time to jump into this, but I do want to pivot to Namor. So before I
Yeah.
ask the question I want to ask about that, I want to ask you
Mhm.
just as a reviewer and as just a lover of what this represents on so many different levels. How do you feel about the introduction of Namor and that character within the movie and just in general?
Okay. I'll go with the general question
Okay.
first. I think in general it's awesome because for a long time before, even before Black Panther, people of color in general only saw themselves in we were never really allowed to be the hero. Um yeah, we had Meteor Man, but outside of Meteor Man, maybe Blank Man, it was far and few between. And if we were the hero or the superhero, it was something comedic. Prior to Black Panther, we people of color in general did not have, you know, a superhero that, as little brown girls and little brown boys that we could look to and be like, yo, I see myself. So in a general sense, I think it's amazing, especially the way Coogler um weaved in, the history of you know, the people of Mexico and how, their land was taken from them and things like that. Um, from a from the movie perspective, I think for me, Neymar was probably one of the in my opinion, the most well written villain that I've seen in the MCU since Thanos.
Okay.
Um, and because remember, one of the things that I thought was a hallmark of Wakanda Forever was the character development. And so the way they took us through his history
Mhm.
and what his motivations were for, you know, wanting to wipe, wanting to wipe Riri out, wanting to wipe any and everybody out that was a threat to where he was from. It was cool to get all of that backstory and gain an understanding of like, okay, this guy just isn't some madman. There's a reason why he's doing this. And it's kind of like a better version of Killmonger. Like, would I want to see somebody do this in real life? No. But I can see exactly where he's coming from.
As that Chris Rock joke goes, I'm not gonna say I would do it, but I understand.
Exactly.
I understand.
Exactly.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to pivot to this part of the conversation, because as I was going through YouTube after having seen the movie and just kind of seeing different reaction videos or things of that nature, I stumbled across a conversation. And I'm not gonna say who it was or any, because I don't want to give no love to the platform, because you know how you watch something and in the beginning you watch it and you think, okay, this is going to be an okay perspective. And
Mhm.
then you kind of get halfway through and you see like, oh, this is going all wrong now.
Right.
But I still think that I'm interested to have this conversation, but I'm having it on my terms. So the person was clearly had issue with the portrayal of Namor.
Mhm.
Um, so we know that Namor is only one name of this particular character from the Marvel universe,
Right.
and the name that I know more from the comics is escaping me right now. Maybe you can help me. Um, it'll come to me. But at any rate, this is probably one of the oldest characters within the Marvel universe as far as it goes back within the comics.
Mhm.
Um, the original character is not from where in the comics is not from the place that is in Wakanda Forever. The original character is from Atlantis.
Mhm.
And this particular reviewer, and this is what I got from what they said. So if they weren't trying to say this, they really messed up, because this is what they sounded like. They were mad. They weren't mad. They were butthurt that Namor was being portrayed as a person of color, because in the comics, he always looked like a white guy with pointy ears.
Right.
And his father was a white guy because he was a white sailor captain that his
Right.
mother fell in love with. And does every, character have to be changed? And do we have to be okay with it? Because it was adjusted to be able to, again, open the dialogue and the experience and the visual to yet another community, um, uh, that being our brown brothers and sisters of Hispanic descent, of indigenous
Right.
descent. Let
I
me
was
say,
trying to think of that
yeah,
word earlier.
let
Thank
me
you.
let me say that better. But they were really, really, really upset. Like, Neymar is not Mexican. Like, miss me with that. But
Right.
what other controversies have you heard or have bubbled up as you've kind of gone through your process of writing and kind of researching? And what do you think about? How do you feel about that particular controversy, air quotes, if you will?
Um, I guess in some of the other criticisms and reviews that I've seen, it was a lot of complaints about there not being enough action, which, granted, yeah, I love action just as much as the next person. But if you gloss over the fact or gloss over this colossal loss that we both felt in real life and both in the film, all that action isn't going to cover it up. And the movie's going to seem really contrived and just for a grab at money instead of just telling a story. Don, um,
John is killing us, man.
so
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, bro.
so it's stuff like that, or where it was a mess, it was no place for that. Again, it was 1,000% a place for that, because remember, we had no clue that Chadwick was ill. No clue. So there was no build up. There was no opportunity for us to really have set in our minds, as fans of his, and as and as fans of the franchise, of the Black Panther franchise. There was really no time for us to really, get ourselves together to prepare for, okay, we're not going to see this guy anymore. It was just as sudden as it was in the movie. So, you know, there's the movie perspective, but then there's the personal perspective. Because remember, Kugler and Bozeman were friends. This is his friend. So, of course, he's not going to write a movie that was centered around his friend and completely forget about his friend. Oh, I'll just cover it up. No, it was an opportunity. He presented an opportunity for, like I said, friends of the franchise to mourn, as well as fans of Chadwick to mourn. So to me, it worked, as well as some of the larger themes that it hit on. What to do. It's okay to mourn, but don't let that mourn turn into uncontrolled rage, because that's going to have much worse repercussions down the line. In the short term, it'll feel good to get back, get revenge, or to hurt somebody else. But like they said in the movie, okay, if we go attack these folks, it's gonna start a forever long war.
Right.
In terms of how I feel about the belly aching over the changing of Namor's ethnicity.
And the other name I was looking for was a Submariner. And as an
But
old guy, old comics, that was, I was like, that's the Submariner. And but
but
they would just like Namor, Namor. I was like, I don't know that name. I know Submariner. But go
in
ahead.
terms of that, think of the story that sounds better or that works better. Okay. And I mean, this is taking any, oh, well, we're opening doors for all people out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see a story about, again, a guy who's, indigenous, who's fighting to protect his people after they, were initially plagued with smallpox? They've done all of this horrible stuff to these people, and they finally establish a civilization that is their own and it's under a threat, right? So that's story one. Or would you prefer story two? An angry white guy who just wants to harm people. Like you know what I'm saying?
Justin Timberlake with Mr. Spock ears, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we really want to see Justin Timberlake just angry. And let's be honest. When was the last time white men had a reason to be angry about anything? So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased because I'm a little brown, but I think the story, that in some to some extent, reflects history and actually reflects real life, is more intriguing and honestly more necessary than just another movie about another angry white guy trying to tear up stuff because he literally has nothing else to do.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. And I think, you know, this is gonna sound crazy because the movies is all about make believe,
Mhm.
but the the storyline, how it was developed and how it was delivered, was more believable. And I think because I saw an interview with Kugler where he was saying, they were asked, if Namor, he was, the interviewer was um, characterizing him as a villain, and Kugler was like, "Well, I'm not necessarily going to say he's a villain. He's an
Right.
antagonist
Right.
because, and if you go back through the comics, sometimes he's the good guy, sometimes he's
Right. He's
not
an
the good guy."
anti-hero.
So yeah, so it's like you can't necessarily say that. So I think that it gave an opportunity to wrap a very full throated, vetted. Like, we started this conversation, and I noted it in my mind. We talk about Wakanda like it's a real place.
Yep.
And so the worlds that are around that come in contact with it have to feel like a real place too.
You have to build it out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I in retrospect, I've never written a movie or maybe a couple short stories in my life, but as a songwriter, which is like a mini movie, you kind of, you have this vibe, this visual musical landscape that you're trying to create, for your listener. And you want them to be able to follow you. You want them at the end of, the song to have gone to the place to
Yep.
experience, to be able to visualize, to do whatever. For that time that we're in the movie theater and the lights are out, we are there,
Hmm.
and we need to be having, situations that make us feel like we are there,
Right.
and that keep us invested in the stories that are being told. So I I'm not gonna stand much longer on that, but I think at the end of the day, for me, I think it was right. I think that everybody wants to be able to see someone conquered who seemed unconquerable.
Hmm.
Um, and so I felt that one of the strongest, fastest, whatever is uh, nemesis that could have been brought to task, would have been brought to task because you couldn't bring Thanos back. So
Right. Nah, nah. But this
wait.
guy, he is, look, between him and Kane coming up in the Ant-Man movie,
Hmm, hmm.
man.
Another,
Look,
another
the Avengers and all of their buddies, they in for a rough ride.
for sure. Let's talk about Shuri.
All right.
Um, when I learned, or when the stories start to surface that they were going to follow perhaps the one of the legs of the comic book stories, that at a certain point the sister becomes the Black Panther. I
Hmm.
believe in the comics, uh, the real reason was because Black Panther went off to have his T'Challa married Storm,
Right.
and he like I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to get
I
my
don't blame him one bit.
I'm trying to get my marriage on right now. So, y'all gonna have to find somebody else to do that right now. I got some more
Right.
important business I need to handle with Mrs. T'Challa over here. And I'm
Right.
not mad at that. But obviously they were making this pivot for a wholly different reason. But I wasn't necessarily excited about that.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously we find out that that does happen in the movie. And what were your thoughts about kind of how that was developed? And I'll just say, for me, I felt that by the time she got in the suit, it was an afterthought. It
Hmm.
wasn't, it didn't do for me much of anything.
Right.
It wasn't bad. I'm not saying that it was negative, but
Hmm.
it didn't really do much for me.
Yeah. For me, it didn't have. Well, first off, I had a bit of a cheat code because I I have a few friends who are, as well as my little brother, and they are heavy
Hmm.
in the comics. So, they told me off rip, "Oh no, that's going to Shuri," and so I was cool with it because I actually, again, I really enjoyed her performance in the first film, and I know a lot of people were kind of nervous about that because she was in a supporting role. People really hadn't seen her in a lead role. Let me tell you, and her name escapes me, and I apologize for that right now, but that young lady is an incredible actress in her own right. If you do not believe me, watch it's the Small Acts anthology,
Hmm.
um done by Steve McQueen. I believe it's still showing on Amazon, but she
Is
does
it
really well in that.
Latita, right?
Yeah,
Latita,
Letitia Wright.
right?
Thank you.
Hmm.
And she actually had a movie that just dropped. Thanks, Don. She actually had a movie that came out earlier this fall, the Silent Twins, where she does really well in that. So she was more than capable of handling a lead role. I think in this you really didn't get to see as much of that as you could have because, as either Don or Chilltown pointed out earlier, Angela Bassett, the I mean that was one of the best acting performances you'll see all year. Like they said earlier, she should definitely be getting the Oscar nomination. But back to Letitia or Miss Wright. Yeah, seeing her in the suit really didn't wow me because I kind of knew it was going to happen. But once she was in there, I saw that she's more than I think she's more than capable of leading the next film or leading however many films until T'Challa's son is ready to take the mantle.
So now you give me perfect uh, uh, segue into where I want to touch on a little bit, and that's the future of Wakanda before we wrap up. Because I know I said an hour, I'm gonna be a little bit longer, but I'm gonna try to be true to my word because I know the Super Twins are probably like, oh, you gotta come kiss me and tell
Oh
me
no,
good
the
night.
Negroes better be asleep. Look, no, I don't need to see any twins after about 8 o'clock.
Got you. But as we look off the horizon towards the future,
Mhm.
there were two things that I felt could be branches of a new story arc, and I just want to see what you and the family that's checking this out think about this. And let me also say, appreciate everybody checking in. Leave your comments, even if you're watching afterwards. Let me know what you think about Sneaker Stories. If you'd like to see more, if you have any suggestions about, folks that should join. But I'm going to say I'm really enjoying this, and we're going to have to figure out a way to kind of do this more often. And it
I'm
may
with
be
you, man.
yet another something, to be able to do because this is very dope and really appreciate Mr. Real Spill himself, Lou, aka Lucky Lefty 601 in the building. Appreciate you checking in with us tonight for sure. But two possible story arcs. One you kind of touched on is uh, Prince T'Challa coming into his knowing, and appreciate that Chill Town for sure, bro. Appreciate you always being there to support, and I mean that wholeheartedly, bro. Appreciate it for sure. Um, but that's going to take some time because he's
Yeah,
only 6 years old.
yeah.
So we know that that's not
He's
going
the
to.
twins' classmate right now.
Yeah. We know that that's not coming anytime soon. The one that interests me that I'd be interested to know what your perspective, and I hadn't really seen a lot of people talk about it. Maybe they have, because I can't stay on YouTube all day. We do have day jobs, so we gotta do
Right.
something. Is the scene where the spacecraft, the aircraft shows up at the waterfalls, and the little walkway comes down, and you're thinking the Black Panther, sure he's gonna walk out, and it's M'Baku. And let
Hmm.
me just say, I love me some
Scene stealer.
M'Baku.
Scene
Oh,
stealer.
talk
Another
about
guy who's
scene stealer.
an incredible actor outside of Black Panther.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Again, yeah, he was great. He was good in Us, but there was another movie that came out last year. It's called goodness, I can't think of the name of it. It's called Nine something, but I'll figure it out. Shoot it to you.
Okay.
You let the family know.
Okay.
But yeah, he's an incredible actor in his own right.
So what I want to know is, am I crazy? Because, okay, Shuri's in Belize. She just found out that she has a nephew. She's lost her mom. She's, feeling like I'm all alone. My family, my mom's gone. My dad's gone. My brother's gone. Let me just say in a segue, in real life, that's my life. Both my parents passed 6 months between each other. 2020, I lost my sister. I'm it. So that really resonates with me. So she's gonna spend this time now with her nephew, telling her about telling him about his father and the ways of Wakanda and so on and so forth. But that leaves no one to be the ruler of Wakanda and
That's
leaves
right.
no one to be the Black Panther but M'Baku. Am I crazy? Like, is
No,
that a possibility? Are
I,
we looking at that?
I think it is. I think at a minimum, we'll definitely see a more expanded role for M'Baku.
Okay.
Because it took us what 4 years to get the sequel.
Right.
With everything Marvel has still, building out this phase, we got a while before the next movie, so it could go in any direction. But I will say, I definitely think he's gonna have a much larger role.
So Beard, my brother Beard Jedi says I'm crazy. So Jedi, you saying I'm crazy because that's not possible? Am I just over here just hoping that I can see him running around the waterfall saying, "Honey, where's my super suit?" I mean, they've already been able to synthesize and recreate the heart-shaped herb, so he
Oh,
literally can go through the transformation and become. And who he gonna fight? He not gonna fight Shiri at the waterfall.
no,
Really? That's what he gonna do? Ain't
no,
nobody
no.
gonna see that. So like, what does that mean?
Yeah, with the way Marvel is going, because you have to understand too, a lot is getting pushed back
Okay.
because of the difficulties that they're having with the making the Blade film.
Okay.
Because they were supposed to be shooting that in Atlanta already, and I don't even think they have a new director yet.
Okay.
So that's going to hold up a lot, which is going to give Kugler and company more time to craft something.
Beer Jedi says that is correct. M'Baku ain't finna do that. Okay. All right. Well, look, I could just dream. I could be over here. Hey, it might be, series on a timeout and somebody got to handle this piece of business. So I'm not saying I'm gonna do this forever, but I'm just gonna go here and handle this business. I'm gonna handle this person, and then it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
I mean, I don't
Uh,
know. Maybe there's a little hope for, in the next movie that, because I think they'll obviously address her time away. That, they give you one little scene of what you're looking for, OG. Just one at least.
right, right. So per your creative says, my Chi-Town homie says he asked for a challenge which she has to honor. Facts.
Hmm.
But if she beats M'Baku without the herb, I'm walking out the theater. Bruh, I'm with you
Yeah,
because that's it. Like, that means when you do that, you got to take the little thing and take all the power away from you, and you got to go, person. I want to say mano e mano, but you got to go
yeah.
person to person. You got to, you
Unless
just got to be able
unless
to
she
do what
show
you
up
got
with
to
some of
do.
her unless she show up with some of her gear from the lab, yeah, that's a L.
Yeah. So it's
Automatic L.
that's interesting to me how all of that is going to play out. So I got one more movie thing, then I'm gonna close out with some questions. We're gonna roll back the sneakers, but here's my last movie thing.
All right.
My youngest daughter is an aerospace engineer,
Mhm.
engineering student. Was in a immersion aerospace program when she was in high school, and now is at Tuskegee studying aerospace engineering. I became aware. I don't exactly remember how I became aware of the character, but one of my favorite movies before the onset of Black Panther was Iron Man.
Mhm.
I was an Iron Man dude. Um, um, I love just that whole series. The kind of quasi darkness, sarcasm, of the portrayal of Tony Stark. It could have gone a lot of different ways, but just for me, cinematically, and with the actor of choice, Robert Downey,
Mhm.
it worked for me.
Right.
Um, and somewhere along the way, I discovered Ironheart,
Yeah.
and because she was a young African American girl
Hmm.
who was a tech nerd, I bought the first, I think, 6 or 7 issues, and
Mhm.
gifted them to my daughter, just because it was something that I felt like you need to see this. You need to
Right. Yeah.
know that this is a dream that you can dream and that
Right.
you can be and do. And she's very much into anime and other things like that. So this was something that I just felt would resonate with her. It did. And as the different comics started to come out, we started to talk about, man, this would be so dope
Mhm.
if it was a movie. This is like, they gotta do this. And I
Mhm.
think we were having this conversation even before I necessarily knew about Black Panther.
Mhm.
But that said, well, I'm excited. What are your thoughts about the introduction of Ironheart? Will she get the full build out, or will will all the Ironheart or the all Iron Man purist uh, shout it down, and we won't get to see it?
Oh no, she's getting the full build out. I believe she has a Disney Plus series coming pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, regardless of what they say, that's already signed, sealed, and delivered. And I'm here for it because as you mentioned earlier, as we keep mentioning, I got the twins. Oh, that's right, she's from the Shy.
She is from the Shy.
But
Facts per year.
yeah, even with girls as young as mine, especially with Camille. Camille is the one that wants to play on your computer, lock your phone up. She's, I guess, our techie. And so seeing Riri and having a character like Riri, appreciate that, Don. Having a character like Riri is, that's going to work wonders for getting you know little black girls, little brown girls into tech fields. Like, no, this isn't just limited to guys. You could do this too.
Yeah, no doubt. I felt that it was like when I knew immediately when I saw the trailer and
Heart
they
hit you
had
right
the um the metal heart
when that
dropping on the
heart
floor.
when that heart
I knew exactly what that meant.
look when that heart hit the floor, I almost shed a tear, man. I couldn't. I'm dead serious. Like, that's all I talk. Like, everything they had in that trailer, that Iron Heart hitting the floor was the thing that hit me the hardest.
Okay.
And so no, it's again the superhero, everybody should be able to have their own superhero. And so anytime we can expand on that and do it in a meaningful way, not just some type of, again, oh, you're just a sidekick, or
Right.
oh, you're just comic relief, but no, like, no, you're really bad ass, you got powers, you got smarts, you can do this, you can do that. For people of color, we got to keep that going.
Yeah. And I just gotta say, and maybe this is just me, if I sound ungrateful, so be it.
Mhm.
I'm gonna need more than Disney Plus. I
Yeah,
need the I'm going to the movie theater version. Okay. I
yeah,
mean full fledged her, Iron Heart, whatever it is. I'm gonna need that. I'm here for that.
right.
And I think to just limit it to Disney Plus is a disservice. Now, the things that they're doing over there, I really mess with. I like it a lot. But and especially as a launching, because it's done in a cinematic way. It's not
Mhm.
like your regular, TV show. It is elements of the movies, and all the technology. Like I was watching a behind the scene uh, piece on She-Hulk the other day,
Mhm.
and just all the technology and how they took that, to yet another level, to try to bring off that particular series. Um,
I think you'll eventually get that though, because you have to look at the way that they did Scarlet Witch, because
okay.
they did Scarlet and Vision.
Hmm.
I mean, where they did WandaVision,
Yes,
and
yes,
from there, from everything that you saw in WandaVision, they moved her into being, I guess, the villain or the antagonist for the Doctor Strange movie.
facts.
So I think you'll see that with Ironheart, and yeah, definitely. I think that was Chilltown that brought up Camilla Khan.
That was Don Turner. He,
Oh, my bad, Don.
when we do this again, DT, you just gonna have to join us on a panel, man. Clearly this is your
Right.
judge. So yeah, we gonna have to have you we won't we won't call it the peanut gallery. We call it the popcorn gallery. So we gonna have to have you up in there, bro. But that was something that I was super excited about to see, and I just felt like I don't know who on Ryan Coogler's team is like. To me, their casting, I haven't seen anything that I felt like was that was the wrong person.
Right.
Right role, wrong person. It has all been spot on in their choices. Um, uh, so that said, we could probably sit here for another 3 or 4 hours, uh, continuing to nerd out, but I promised that I was going to keep it within a time limit. Again, this is the first episode of Sneaker Stories, and hopefully it will not be the last. If you've enjoyed this and you'd like to see this again in terms of with another guest, and talking about something that with someone that we know for sneakers, but is a little bit different discussion, you know, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Again, if you have any suggestions of people, I have some ideas. I already have some folks on deck that I had talked to, previously, but I'm sure there are any number of other folks out there that that are doing some dope things that we don't really necessarily are not in the forefront of our knowledge of them within the sneaker community. So again, I want to say thank you so much to my homie Lewis,
Nah, man, I appreciate you
aka
having me.
Lucky Lefty 601, for being here. But I I came up with this idea, and again, I'm going to give attribution to who it's from. Another podcast that I listen to regularly is Jamel Hill Unbothered, and she does this thing at the end of her podcast where she asks some questions, and they're characterized in a specific way. And I'm not going to do it exactly, but I'm going to call these questions the final four. These are going to be our last four questions, and they're quick hitters. So it's like don't take a whole lot of time to think about it.
Yeah,
These questions are crafted specifically with you in mind, my brother.
gotcha.
You got to choose one or the other. You can't say no.
All right.
OG Space Jam or LeBron Space Jam? Which one you choose?
OG.
Oh,
OG, man.
all right. So you gonna go with the original Mike joint?
And remember, the OG had the better shoes, like by far.
Okay, facts. I cannot dispute that. I cannot dispute that. So for me, I'm gonna say I'm gonna agree with you, but I'm conflicted because I just feel like in a newer time, like what they did with the new version, like I respect it. I think a lot of people,
Yeah, it wasn't
it's
bad.
my show. I can say it. A lot of people tried to shit on it,
They
but
did.
I think that wasn't fair because like wasn't nobody getting an Academy Award for the OG joint either.
No, no. I think in terms of I guess the act, like my personal preference is the OG because again, like I said, better shoes and it has a lot of my favorites in it. But I really enjoyed the new one.
Abs-
I loved it,
abs-
and it. I think Kugler produced it.
there you go.
One of the
So
producers.
you can't miss. You can't miss. All right. Question number 2. You got to recruit a ball player. Are you going to take Jesus Shuttleworth, or are you going to get Neon Boundary Bordeaux? If you don't recognize the name, that was
Yeah, Blue
Shaquille
Chips.
O'Neal. There you go. Who you
Um,
going with?
well, considering the fact that Ray has made nice with my Celtics, with the rest of the big three.
Okay. Okay.
They patched things up at Paul Pierce's Hall of Fame induction.
Okay.
I'm going Jesus because
Okay.
I mean, honestly, prior to all that, Ray was actually my favorite player. I still have his Connecticut jersey in
Okay.
my room. So yeah, I'm going Jesus Shuttlesworth.
All right. All right. In terms of your personality,
Mhm.
would you say you're more Sidney Dean or Billy Hoyle?
Honestly, I would say Sidney Dean. Actually, not Sidney Dean, Billy Hoyle, because
Right.
I'm actually really reserved.
Okay.
I think when once I started writing and everything, I think it kind of caught people off guard because a lot of people didn't even know that I watched movies like that, or that I studied movies like that, or that I knew film like that.
Hmm.
So I would definitely go with Billy Hoyle because I tend to be pretty reserved.
All right. And I'm going to agree with you. And when I say agree with you, for me, definitely
Hmm.
more Billy Hoyle than Sidney Dean. I do a lot of things that I'm an extroverted introvert. So I do a
Hmm.
lot of things that, on the surface seem to be one thing, but they, just kind of chill. All right, last question of the final four, and it's gonna show you that I did my homework. I
All
know
right.
the answer to this question already, but
Okay.
I was digging in the vault. Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's? Tell
Oh,
me.
come on, man. Zaxby's all day. And we need to get more Zaxby's up here. Like the DMV would be such a better place if it had more Zaxby's. No, no debate. I don't bring in Raising Canes. Don't bring in Slim Chickens. I don't want to hear it.
Look, Slim
Zaxby's
Chickens is
is
a
king.
blasphemy, bro. I had that joint. No disrespect, but nah, y'all not popping out here in these streets. I'm gonna just need y'all to give up that real estate for something else. It is not the move. So that's it. That's the final four, man. Just a little bit of fun. And if y'all don't believe me about the Zaxby's thing, go on his feed and you're gonna see that he
It is
refers
so.
to Zaxby's as Bay. That
Yeah,
he gonna
Zaxby's
go
is
see
king.
Bay when he get down 95. So don't like I'm not just making this stuff up over here.
Oh
This
no,
is
no, no. And I'm loud and proud about that too. Zaxby's is Bay. It's not up there with wifey,
right
but Zaxby's is Bay.
for sure.
Undisputed.
For sure. Listen, Lou, again, man, I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed your time today. I've had a blast, man.
I had
I wanted this has actually helped me from the standpoint that I wanted to be able to have these conversations. So like I got a chance to do this dope show with you and also have the conversation about an absolutely dope movie. And
time, man.
I think I might have stumbled on something. We may have to fire this up and do it more often. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, Most of all, I appreciate everybody that tapped in. I won't do the roll call, but y'all know who you are. Hopefully, everybody that at least made a comment, I was able to shout out. I appreciate you. You know, until the channel is turned off and erased from YouTube, y'all know I'm already subject to pop up. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how it's received, and we'll figure out how this settles into the OG sneakers universe. Who knows? Maybe we'll pop up on the Talking Kicks platform one time. I don't know. Still trying to figure out the way to do this, but just want to again reiterate, if you like what you saw, as the homie Beard Jedi likes to say, hit that thumbs up. If you don't, hey, leave a comment. Tell me what we can do, you know, to be a little bit better. And if you don't like it, hey, you tried it, and that's all I can ask you to do. I appreciate you, and it's not a doggone thing you can do about it. On behalf of my first guest on Sneaker Stories, my homie Lou,
Yeah,
we appreciate
appreciate
you, and it's not a doggone thing you can do about it.
it.
Hoto Sneaker family, we gone. And we're gonna see you next time on Sneaker
All right.
Stories. Peace.